What is up, guys? Welcome to the Swanky Productions channel. I'm Ben, and in today's video I had kind of a cool opportunity to take my dad's XC800 Tiger out for an extended test ride on both the road and the trail. I had been lending him the KLR 650 for the weekend for him to do kind of an extended test ride on that, do some camping, and there will be videos on that you guys will be seeing real soon. But in today's video, you'll notice that from start to finish, my sort of preconceived notions from spending a little bit of time on the Tiger before really kind of evolve and change from start to finish. So let's throw a leg over the Tiger and see what it'll do.
So with 95 horsepower and a 24.3 degree rake and a 10,000 RPM redline, this thing definitely feels like a sport bike. And I kind of always say that the Tenere 700 is sort of a mix of a sport bike and a dirt bike. This thing is, I would say, the same, but is definitely heavy on the sport bike aspect. I do have to say it doesn't seem as fast as the Tenere 700. I would really like to line both of them up and do a 0 to 60, but I think honestly it's just the fact that this thing is so smooth and so quiet. The Tenere 700 is noisy with the Camel ADV pipe that I've got on it, and obviously just pumps out a little bit more vibrations than this bike does. And this one, it doesn't matter what gear you're in. In fact, half the time I'll end up doing this, riding 60 miles an hour in 4th gear. I think I was even on the highway in maybe 4th or 5th gear for a while, and you just don't know it. I mean, it's just so smooth. And honestly, going around corners with this thing is kind of scary, because it's not like the Tenere 700 or the KLR, where basically you just kind of turn the bars a little bit and the bike almost seems like it wants to fall over. Because of that tight rake on here, this really is a very solid and planted feeling bike. And honestly, at 70 miles an hour, I kind of just remembered riding this bike how a normal motorcycle feels at 70 miles an hour on my KLR and the Tenere, partially I think because of the tires that I've got on, but also I think definitely because of the big rake and the wheels sticking way out in front of you. They both kind of end up, well, a little bit wobbly at high speeds, and this thing, man, it does not at all. It's a very solid, smooth machine. Will a Harley wave at you? Oh yeah. Well, there is a road here. I guess we'll test the brakes. Woo! Oh yeah. Real nice. Man, this thing feels honestly incredibly solid on gravel. How many of you guys are looking at one of these bikes, or how many of you guys have them, and what are your thoughts on them, especially compared to the other bikes that I've got in my garage? Actually just had the KLR out here 2 days ago. This is the second half day I've taken this week, and I think that'll hopefully be good, because then I'll have kind of a idea in my mind of about how comfortable and how fast I went around this on the KLR. The fact that this kind of forces you to lean over the bars is probably a really good thing, honestly. I kind of have to force myself to do it on, I guess, the T7 and the KLR. This thing, it just kind of puts you over the bars, which means you're over the front wheel, pressing it down into the dirt, which means more traction. That's always a good thing. The gearing on this, and I guess just even the motor, I mean, I've said how many times now that this feels like I'm on a crotch rocket again out of the road. Well, as far as the power delivery and the throttle response and everything, it feels like I'm riding a crotch rocket off the road as well, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I guess maybe it's just something that you kind of have to get used to. I think I've searched for a lower gear just as many times as I searched, or just as many times as I forgot to knock this up into 5th or 6th gear when I was doing highway speeds. My silence is mostly due to the fact that I really thought that I was going to be saying how this bike did not feel good off-road compared to the T7 and the KLR. I don't know, maybe my skills have just improved that much since I've ridden this bike last. But I think the issue with this, and the reason that I've kind of always turn people away from them when they ask about this compared to either a KLR or a Tenere, is that if you're going to do anything more than this, if you're going to do any rides where you're riding 2-track, which is truck rust and stuff, if you're going to do rides where you're exploring in the mud and possibly exploring in the snow a little bit like we do once in a while, then this bike feels top heavy because of the way the frame and the forks are set up. It can easily get away from you, and it's kind of a struggle to get it back. And I remember specifically switching back and forth between this bike and the Tenere when I think I had just got it and we were trying to squeeze one more ride out. We actually trailered both of these bikes up in the beds of our trucks up here when there was snow on the ground, and we ended up riding through a bit of that and some icy, rutted up trails. And this bike definitely felt like it was a fight to keep it up, where the Tenere, woo, definitely feels a lot lighter. But man, I'm I'm having a hard time finding the faults that I really thought that I remembered with this thing, riding it off-road. And I mean, I've hit a little bit of sand, which obviously, I don't know, maybe I've anticipated the negative aspects of this a little bit too much, so I built it up in my mind and I thought it was worse than it really is. I don't know. And I still would not ever suggest this bike to somebody who is new to off-road riding. I think my dad and I kind of both made the mistake of buying giant 460-pound adventure bikes and trying to either completely learn or relearn dirt skills on them. I mean, this is just a completely different monster compared to the little dirt bikes that my dad used to ride, and much different than the sport quads that I started out on. You need to start out on something small, I think is always been my opinion, but I definitely feel pretty darn comfy out here ripping my dad's $10,000 bike around. $11,000 bike? This was actually a demo bike and had a couple miles on it, and now it's got over 20,000. And honestly, I mean, this thing has been pretty good to him. He just had to do the fork seals on it. One of them started to leak, and I mean, obviously chain sprockets, that sort of thing. But man, I mean, I think that's been about it. He has had some weird issues with it where it will not want to, I think, engage a relay is kind of my diagnosis, and I don't know why it is that it won't, but it will not engage the fuel pump when you turn the key on and the kill switch is in the hop position. I don't know how common that is. I think it does happen to other bikes like this. I don't know if it's something that runs rampant in these or not. Maybe some of you guys can help me out with that. One thing that I've kind of noticed about this is it does, as much as I feel like I am in control of it, it's a little bit harder to kind of sort out quick before and after the jumps, where the Tenere and even the KLR feel more flickable. Where this, I mean, even though I can get it to do exactly what I want it to, it just takes a little bit more forethought and a little bit more force. Where just like on the road, the Tenere and the KLR are ready to fall over on you by just kind of even just breathing on the grips a little bit. Where this, I mean, it sticks to the trail and holds its ground until you lose traction, I guess. I do have to say, I think the bars being a little bit higher and a little bit further forward would feel better. I don't like being hunched, and honestly, I don't know if that's even a good thing. I've heard people say that they like lower bars like a dirt bike, and I don't know. I've never ridden a real dirt bike, I guess, so maybe I'm getting this backwards, but yeah, even there, I can feel that this bike just feels like it wants to go down. Obviously, like I said, my skills have improved, so I can kind of ride my way around that, and it doesn't really bother me at all. Maybe a little bit, but I'm still riding it pretty harder than I thought it would be. Sorry, Jerry. This is not the video that I thought I was going to be making. Honestly, though, I like this bike. I'm not buying it from him, though. I got my eye on other things. Actually, I got my eye on riding the bikes that I've been. There was the front end a little bit. Got my eye on just riding the bikes that I've got for a while, and enjoying all of the hours of modding that I've done to them for a little while before I go and do something silly like buy another bike. What else? There was something else. The front end does not come up as easy, and I don't know if that's weight distribution or what the deal is. I did fill this up before I left, and I thought I had it on how many miles I had on the odometer, but it looks like it's the MPG instead. I like this bike. Maybe I would buy one someday. Honestly, I think if I was ever going to do more road riding, I might think about it. I mean, the comfortability aspect of it, in the sense that it doesn't feel like it's going to do the death wobble anytime you shift fast, like the KLR and the Tenere both have. Woo! It is definitely a little bit comforting. I definitely can feel some heat coming off of this. Is this pollen in the air? What is going on? As quiet as this thing is on the road, and I guess I'm wearing earplugs, but as quiet as this thing is compared to my bikes, man, it does have a nice sound to it. I kind of almost feel like I don't like how it sounds coming through the microphone. Tenere 700 sounds so good through the mic, where this, it definitely sounds much better in person. It's a strange sound to hear out here, I think. So now that I've put a few more dirt miles on here, whoa. I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, I was just out riding 2 days ago. I don't know if I'm still a little bit sore from that, but I am getting a little bit more fatigued a little quicker than I was with the KLR out here, and I think that has a lot to do with that I'm just, whoa, yep, there was some sand. That I am, whoa, and there's the front end. Just sort of compensating for the kind of heaviness of the bike, and like I said, I guess I kept thinking that I was not, but I think now that I'm starting to feel my wrists and forearms hurt a little bit, I'm thinking that that is probably the case, and I'm just sort of burning myself out a little bit more without even knowing it. A little bit of exercise and more riding like this would, I'm sure, kind of train your muscles and build them up to the point where obviously you could deal with it. Can I get to the ground easier? I'm on super uneven terrain, but I kind of feel like I can, and I think maybe that's just because the seat is kind of cupped or humped, I guess, at the top, where the T7 has kind of a wide flat seat. But I don't know, it does almost seem like I can get to the ground a little bit easier. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but the back end does seem to have a chatter, and I guess the T7 does too. I guess now that I think about it, I think the new KLR does that too, kind of. I think maybe I've always just running my chains way too tight, and I don't know what a properly tensioned chain sounds like when it bounces around a little bit off of the sliders, but my dad has always kind of wondered why the back felt so weird on this. Yeah, okay, I'm definitely feeling myself fighting the front end a bit, and especially standing, you get kind of fatigued doing that after a while. But even still, I mean, even a couple miles in here, I mean, I am not displeased in the activity that I'm taking part in now at all. I'm feeling pretty good. I do have to admit, though, I am going to be cutting this ride short compared to what I was doing on the KLR, which I think, again, is just kind of testament to the fact that I am getting a little wore out. But honestly, I mean, as impressive as this thing is on the road, it's almost more impressive how impressive it is off the road. Does that make any sense? Can you guys even see me down there? Probably not. Silly pole. I'm gonna be bobbing all over the place. So at the end of the day, I would say if you are interested in getting something that's gonna do a little bit better, or a lot better, I guess I would say, on the road, and is gonna feel more like maybe the crotch rocket you had when you were a little bit younger, like me. Younger like I used to be, not like I am now. I'm 32. Back when I had those crotch rockets, I definitely was sick of riding the old paved roads that I had been stuck on all the time. With this, I think you get just almost as much fun on the road as you do with a sport bike, but in a much more comfortable package, and you're not trapped on the pavement. You can get out and do amazing things like I just did today. I mean, how can you beat that? There is no way to beat that. That in itself is just an amazing thing. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, stay safe, stay swanky, get out, enjoy this beautiful world any chance you get. And if you can't do that right now, check out some more videos in the meantime, and make sure you're subscribed if you want to see more every weekend.